All right, and we're live. Hopefully, we got some people on. Hopefully, you can hear me okay. Hey, everyone. Jim Hart here. Looks like we got some people coming on. Great. I wasn't planning on doing this today. Today, we're going to be talking about mindset, but let me tell you a little bit about what the plan is for this week. I felt really bad last week on Friday. I was supposed to go live. I planned on going live. What I didn't plan on was that our kids had a half day of school because of parent-teacher conferences. So I had to go pick them up, and they were running around up here. And since I work from home now, it was just it wasn't possible to go live on Friday as much as I wanted to. So hopefully that won't happen again. But what I've decided to do instead is I'm actually going to go live for about an hour every day this week. So from now through Friday. And each day we're going to focus on something a little bit different. Today what I really want to focus on is mindset. And I want to start with this because mindset is one of those things that if you don't get this right, you're never going to have success with your online business. And I think it's one of those foundational things. It's the first part of my business builder framework that I teach in my membership community. It's vitally important that you get your mindset right. And so I want to focus on that today. Tomorrow, I want to focus on trying to come up with a good target market for your online business. And so hopefully by the end of tomorrow, if you stick with me through the end of tomorrow, you should have an idea of what type of online business you want to start. Or if you already have an online business, you should be in a situation where you can say, well, is this still a good idea for me or not? Because a lot of times people have an idea of what they want to start with an online business and they don't have success. And the reason they don't have success is a lot of times because of the idea they chose. And so I want to put you in the place where you are most likely to succeed. And so that's what we're going to talk about tomorrow. Is we're going to talk about coming up with the right idea and the right market for your online business. And then Thursday and Friday, we're going to start talking about how you go about building your presence online and setting up your first funnels. So by the end of the week, you should have a complete roadmap of where you're trying to go with your online business. So what I'll tell you is, and then we'll get into the training. The replays for all these, I'm doing these live on YouTube. Starting tomorrow, I will also be doing these live from a private Facebook group that I host called Achieve. And there's a link down in the description below. If you want to join that Facebook group, you can go ahead and click that, get in there, enter your email, and we'll email you the link to join that Facebook group. I'm going to put all the replays from this week's trainings into that Facebook group. So they will be coming off YouTube after the trainings are done each day. And the only way to get access to the replays is going to be to go into that Facebook group. So just to let you know, just a little plug. And the link is obfoundations.com/Facebook. So there you go. So as we go through the training here today, feel free to drop your questions in. Depending on where we're at in the training, there's going to be some places where I may be asking you to for feedback, for what your experiences are, and then also I'm just going to be doing a lot of teaching. So if there's questions that come in that are relevant to what we're talking about, I will talk about that. If they're not relevant, or if you start asking me about tangential topics such as how to set your LLC up for your business, I'm probably not going to address that today because that's not what this is all about. The other thing I will say, let's see, I have one other thing on my mind on my list. This is not about selling you anything. I'm not here to sell you anything today. This is really just about the training that we're going to be doing on mindset. That's the goal today. So if you're sitting here thinking, oh, he's going to be talking to us for a little bit and then selling something at the end, no. That's not the plan today. Today it's all about training and giving you me, hopefully showing up with my best self to give you some training. I am a little tired today because of daylight savings time. My body has not quite gotten used to that. Gosh, I hate daylight savings time. But we're there. So let's get going here, shall we? So today, like I said, what I want to talk to you about are the mindset issues that most entrepreneurs have to go through. And I will be drinking coffee throughout. So hopefully you've got a cup, of Joe. And this cup mug is from Grandfather Mountain out in Western North Carolina. And so hopefully you got your cup of coffee. If maybe you're over in Europe or someplace and, maybe you're drinking wine or something, that's cool too. But if you want water or something else, that's fine. But go grab yourself something to drink. Make sure you got something to drink, and something to take notes on, and we'll get going here. So anyway, today we're going to be talking about mindset. This is important, as I mentioned before, because mindset is one of those foundational things that if you don't get it right at the very beginning, it's just going to cause all sorts of problems for your online business later on. And I can tell you this because this is something that I struggled with immensely when I was first getting started online business, over 10 years ago or so. And this is something has been really, really, Deb says, cheers to Joe. Sharon, I'm glad to see you here also. So mindset is something I've really struggled with because, and for me, it's been especially difficult because I'm a lawyer and I've done well as a lawyer financially. I've owned my own law practice since 2005. It's always been relatively easy for me to get clients. So the law practice never really suffered. It's been pretty consistent. And so the thought of switching from something that, is pretty consistent and something that, honestly, I really enjoy doing in practicing law to teaching online business is a really scary thing. And so I've struggled with this concept quite a bit. And it really came to a head for me back when the pandemic started. And it took, I would never want to go through this pandemic ever again. I hope most of you agree with me on that. But what I will say on the flip side is if it wasn't for the pandemic, I probably would still be doing what I was doing. I'd still be running a law firm. I'd probably have associates because that's where we were going. When the year 2000 started, it was 2000, right? I think, yeah. So when that started, I had a legal assistant that worked for me. I had a marketing assistant that worked for me. We were in the process of hiring another legal assistant. I was in the process of hiring an associate attorney to take on cases for me. So I had an office condo with like 6 offices in it, and I took that office condo because I knew that I was planning on growing the firm. And then the pandemic happened, and everything just screeched to a halt. Everything got shut down. I couldn't meet with clients face to face. I couldn't go to court. I couldn't do any of those things. Everything changed, and it really caused me to confront what I was doing and how I was doing it. And that's how I really overcame my fear of going on and starting an online business, because it was like, well, I'm at the point now where I either have to do this or, there's no money coming in. So what are we going to do? So that's kind of what we did. I started my online business. I started out teaching my Lock It Down legal protection system, which at the time was my online business legal toolkit. I started selling that. We went through a beta launch. We slowly increased the price. We added more features to it. And now it's my Lock It Down legal protection system that's part of our monthly membership. But I was only able to do that because I had 10 years of experience under my belt, spending tens of thousands of dollars literally on coaching business coaches, on online business coaches, on right up until the pandemic started. I was the member of a group of attorneys that met quarterly down in Florida to talk about our business and come up with 90-day plans, kind of like Dan Sullivan's group, Strategic Coach, is very similar to that, but only for lawyers. I'd taken a gazillion online courses on how to build your online business. I did all these things. I listened to podcasts daily. I watched YouTube videos. I did all the things, and it took me a long time for that information that I was learning to somehow get into my brain so that I figured this stuff out. And it was only because I had that foundation that I was actually able to launch my online business relatively quickly 2 years ago. And it really happened about 2 years ago this week, because the pandemic, if I recall correctly, started right around this. I think it was this week 2 years ago. But that's what I did. And then I launched my online business legal toolkit. That went on to sell 6 figures in the first 12 months. And so, and at that point, I still, was this just a flash in the pan? Was this just because people were home for the pandemic? 2021 was a different year. Things changed a bit, and I think that I've heard one podcaster call it last summer was the hot vax summer. Everyone was vaccinated. Everyone wanted to go out and do stuff. People stopped buying things. So that was again, when you're going through online business, the mindset that you have, it's just up and down constantly. You have these highs, you have these lows, and the goal is to try and really flatten it out so that you are just growing incrementally, month over month, year over year. And so anyway, what I want to talk to you about, I want to start by going over kind of my philosophy of how to approach mindset and how you should be approaching mindset, and my values when it comes to this. And I would say number one is you don't want to ignore the mental aspects of running your business. If you are thinking about starting an online business and you're serious about this, I want you to, number one, appreciate that there are going to be mindset issues, that you are going to struggle with imposter syndrome, that you are going to worry about how do you find the time to run your business. You are going to worry about money somewhat. All these things are very, very real. So don't ignore this. Don't ignore this and just say, oh, it's not going to happen to me. It's going to happen to you at some point. A lot of people get started in online business. They go through what I call the honeymoon phase, where everything is wonderful and great, and they're just really excited about what they're doing. But then after, a couple weeks or a month or 2 months, that luster starts to wear off, and the reality of what they're doing, if they haven't made any sales at that point, starts to set in, and that's where people start to quit. So a lot of people get started, but a lot of people also fail within the first, I would say, month or 2 or even 3 of starting their online business. Now, hopefully that's not you. And hopefully it's good that you're here today to go through this with us. So the other thing I want you to understand about that is that the mental aspects of running an online business, it's a lot harder than it seems. And there are very, very successful entrepreneurs. There are people that are making multiple 7 figures, 8 figures a year who are still dealing with these mindset issues, who are still going through this and not sure how to deal with it. And they have therapists that they work with therapists on a regular basis. And it's, so I just want you to appreciate that this stuff is hard, and you shouldn't necessarily be expected to go about it alone, although some of you will try. I would argue that that's not necessarily the best way to do it. I personally have, until recently, I've had a coach for the past 5 years. Every single month, talking to somebody and going through what I'm doing with my business and helping me through the struggles that I have and sharing in my successes. And the only reason I don't have a coach right now is because, as I've talked about before on the channel, we're moving to Portugal in 3 months. I can't believe it's that soon. A little over 3 months, 4 months. And I'm waiting until we get there to hire somebody new. So, and I actually know who I'm going to hire. It's somebody in Europe. And so I'm just waiting until we get over to Portugal and get settled. And then I'm going to be hiring another business coach. So I spend thousands of dollars a year on business coaching because it's that important. And a lot of times what they're helping you with is the mental aspects. So I want you to appreciate that if this is something, whether you're just starting out with online business or you've been doing online business and you're still struggling, I want you to know that this is going to be hard. This is going to be the hardest part. This is going to be harder than selling something. This is going to be harder than doing a YouTube video. This is going to be harder than putting some tweets out there. This is the hardest part. I mean, just for me, like getting ready and saying, you know what, I'm going to go live today and do a training like that. That's scary. And when I do it, I use this software called Ecamm. And it gives me like a countdown timer, so I know exactly how long I've got until I said I was going to go live. And that can mess with you if you're not ready for it. And there's a lot of people that just they don't do it. But I want you to also realize that everyone goes through this, and this is tough, but you can do it. And if your heart's in it, and you have a deeper purpose to what you're doing and why you're doing it. Like for me, my deeper purpose is I'm trying to impact, more entrepreneurs so that they can grow their business and they can impact more people through their business as well. And hopefully the goal is that we can make, a lasting impact in a better world for all of us. I want the people I work with to be happier, healthier, and have more freedom in their lives, both financially and location-wise and all those things. So thank you for the super chat. I appreciate that. Little Beard Oil. Little Beard Oil. I probably need some of that, by the way. Anyway, so I want to go over some things, some struggles that a lot of entrepreneurs have. And these are struggles that I personally had as well, in terms of mindset. And there's, let's see, how many I got here? 7 or 8, 6. Yeah, seven different issues that I want to go through and how I dealt with them. The first one is finding the time. And this is probably one of the biggest excuses I see from people getting started with online business is I just don't have time. I don't know how I'm going to do it. I can't devote 12 hours a day to my online business. And I actually, we did a coaching call. So like I said, I have a monthly membership, and we did a coaching call last week, and we spent about 5 or 10 minutes coaching one of my members through the fact that she's really struggling because she works a 9-to-5 job. She's got a long commute. She has to be back in the office now. I think she had to be back in the office. Regardless, it doesn't matter. But she just was struggling to find the time to work on her business. And so we coached her on that, and we talked about the issues she was having and found that she was staying up until like midnight every night doing basically nothing. You know what people do, when you're younger and you don't have kids and you don't have a family yet. You're by yourself. You can watch TV, you can scroll the internet, you can, read the news or whatever, and there's no real pressure to go to bed. And this is especially hard if you feel like that's the only time of day that you really have to yourself. A lot of times you don't want to go to bed. And so I've seen this is very true a lot of times. You just decide to stay up. I see Jen is here. Good to see you, Jen. But that is a struggle. And so we talked to her about this and about how it was important that she tried going to bed earlier and getting some sleep, because she was getting up at 4 a.m. to work on her online business. But she was getting burned out. And that's so true. And I guess there's 2 real points to this that I will bring up. The first point is that, if you're burning yourself out, you're doing something wrong. There are enough hours in the day for you to be working on your online business. And you don't need to devote 3-4 hours a day to your online business. If you've got a full-time job that you work at from like 8 to 5 every day, or 8:30 to 5:30 or 9 to 6 or whatever it is, or even longer, and you've got to be on for that job, then coming home and working on your online business when you get home is not the time to do it, because your brain is going to be fried. You need to come home, eat a good, healthy dinner, maybe make sure you work out, whether you do that in the morning or at night. But you're going to make time for the things that are important to you. But trying to stay up until midnight, doing basically nothing on your phone or watching brainless TV, and then getting up 4 hours later and thinking that you're going to be productive both at your job that's paying your bills right now and with your online business, that's not going to happen. And so what I did personally when I first got started, and this was a little over 10 years ago, ironically, this is right around the time when our son was born. So our son was born in 2010, and so we weren't sleeping, right? I mean, he was Charlie, if you're listening to this someday, I love you. He's almost 12 years old now, but he was a horrible sleeper, and he cried all day, and it was a nightmare. So what I did is I got up at 4 o'clock in the morning. That's what I did. I got up at 4 in the morning. I worked till about 7. Then I'd go for a jog. Then I'd come home. My wife was staying at home with him at the time, and so she helped out. And then I would go into the office around, 9 or 10, and I'd work in the office until 5 or 6. Come home, eat dinner with the family, go to bed relatively early, and do the same thing. That's the way I did it. But that gave me enough time to get a good night's sleep and still get in 1 to 2 hours of work a day on the online business. So that's what I did. All right, I spent way too much time on finding time for your business. That wasn't what I planned to do, but anyway, hopefully you get the idea. The second thing is finding money. I don't think we're going to take nearly as much time on this, because that's the beauty of online business, is you don't need a lot of money to get started with your online business. All you literally need is a laptop or desktop computer, or an iPad. If you've got an iPad, that's all you need, and this. And the only reason you even need the phone is because this is great for doing videos. I mean, for those of you who obviously you follow me on YouTube, if you look at my first 100 videos or so, they were either done on, I have a camera over there that I think it was this one. It was like a Sony Handycam. They were done on that, or they were done on like an iPhone 8. Like it was, low tech, right? I didn't have a microphone. Everything was done just using this mic, and the quality was horrible. But I did it, and that's how I started. And so you don't need to spend a lot of money with your online business when you're just getting started. As long as you have, like I said, a computer, an internet connection, and a phone to record videos or to record podcasts or whatever, for a couple $100, if you need some extra equipment, maybe a good microphone or something, you can do that. That's all you need. And you can use the free tools that are available online. There's a ton of them. I'm using Ecamm for this, but I don't need to use Ecamm. You could go live on YouTube with your phone, or I think there's a free software called OBS, I believe it's called. It's a open source software that you can use. So there's different ways that you can do this. You can go live on Facebook. You can go live on YouTube, or not YouTube, Instagram. And so there's all sorts of free tools available. And none of these tools were available when I was just getting started. The world was different then. But you can do that. So finding money should really not be an issue. And if you are, looking for ways to support your business financially, you can do one of two things. You can either look at what you're spending your money on right now and ask yourself if you really need it. If you're looking for an extra 50 or $100 a month to invest into your online business, maybe to run your first set of Facebook ads or do something like that, either you can sell things. I've talked about this before. I talked about this in a video I posted here on YouTube last week, how my wife right now is like selling all our stuff on Facebook Marketplace. We just sold a bike for $40 yesterday. And so we're selling things to get ready to move to Portugal. And you can do that. And we've probably made, probably at least $1,000 in the past couple months just selling stuff on Facebook Marketplace. So you can find ways to come up with the money, or you can cut expenses and not spend money on the things that, you don't really need. The next issue that I want to talk about in terms of mindset is getting your spouse on board. This is huge, and I don't want to underscore how important this is to you. If you have a spouse or a partner or boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, who you think is going to push back on what you're doing, and that happens a lot. I'll be honest, that happened with me. My wife was very much in the camp of, you're a lawyer, you're a successful lawyer, you're making good money as a lawyer, there's no reason that you need to go and do this online business. What she didn't see, which is what I saw, the vision that I saw, and the reason why there was this disconnect is, she came from the camp of, you work for 40 years, you save your money, and then you retire. I came from the camp of, I read, Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki years ago. And the idea that you are building a business that is going to support you even if you're not working. That's the whole thing. My belly's really rumbling. That's the whole thing. That's why I believe so strongly in online business, because you can build a system, you can build a business and put it in place so that it works when you're not working. And that's the whole goal. So if you have a spouse who's pushing back on that, stop trying to convince them. Don't try to convince them. You don't need to do that. Don't even talk to them about what you're doing. Wait until you start making some sales. Wait until you've got, $100 a month coming in or $200 a month coming in. And she's like, you can go and give her some money and say, hey, I did not make this from my job. Here's the money for the car payment. I made this from the online business. That's when the light bulbs will start to go on in their head. That's what happened with me. I started this YouTube channel. I was making videos, and she's like, why are you making all the videos? Just go be a lawyer. That's what she wanted me to do. And I said, well, and there came a time, I remember we had the conversation. I said, listen, I just realized I could turn ads on. I didn't know I could turn ads on. Like, a lot of people, they get on YouTube and they're like, oh, 1,000 subscribers, 4,000 hours of watch time. I need to turn on those ads. I didn't even know about that. Like, I blew through those 1,000 subscribers and didn't even realize I was at a point where I could turn on ads until I was at like 6 or 7 or 8,000 subscribers because I had stopped paying attention to the channel. Don't do that, by the way. And so then one month I was like, well, I turned on the ads. And the first month it made like $30. I can't remember the exact dollar amount. And then the next month it made like 150, and then it made like 250. And then I went to my wife and I was like, listen, this channel is actually making money each month every time I publish videos. I'm not doing anything. These are all from ads. I'm not selling anything. It's just I'm putting content out there, and YouTube pays me in the form of ad revenue. And that's when she was like, oh, okay. I was like, well, listen, if it takes me a couple hours to make a video, that's the same hourly rate that I was making as a lawyer. Don't you think I should do more of that? And at that point, she was like, okay, get up to $500 a month, then we'll talk. And I did. I got up to $500, and then she's like, okay, well, I guess this is not such a bad thing. So all I'll tell you is wait until you're making money, and then your spouse will slowly start to join. So anyway, imposter syndrome is the next one. I will tell you, and if for those of you that don't, let me tell you what imposter syndrome is. Imposter syndrome is the idea that you don't feel like you know enough to teach other people what you know. And I will tell you that this is something that I've struggled with. This is something I still struggle with. Again, I'll go back to one of our monthly coaching calls a couple weeks ago where I was talking and somebody was bringing up to me some of the things that I talked about and taught in one of our trainings, and that she was following the things and that they were working. And, the first thought that came in my head when she started talking about that was, oh shoot, I taught her something. It's not working for her. It's not going to work. This is silly. Why am I teaching this stuff? Like, that's the first thought that came in my head. And this happens every time I publish a YouTube video. You think that, gosh, this is not going to work. Nobody's going to listen to me. Nobody's going to follow me. But here's the thing. This is all going on in our heads. It's going on in your head, and it's not true. It's not true. You don't appreciate how valuable what it is that you know is to the rest of the world because you haven't put it out there yet. And you won't know whether people are going to follow you for it or not until you start spreading your message. And here's the thing about being an expert in the online space. It's not about knowing everything. It's about knowing more than the people that you're teaching. Because there's a lot of people out there. There's a lot of marketing people that know a whole lot more than me. There's a lot of marketing people that are a whole lot more successful than me. And, but I still know an awful lot. I've been in this online business space for 15 years, 17 years, since like 2005. I would say where I started with online business was when I left. I was working for the public defender's office in, Seminole County, Florida. And I left that and I started my own firm. It was October of 2005. And that's when I started going out and reading all these books on marketing. And learning about how to build a blog and figuring out things about websites and marketing and permission-based marketing and all these things. That's when it first started to click for me that all this stuff worked. So that was 17 years ago. So clearly I've been studying this. I've been studying marketing for 17 years. I know more than a lot of people do. There's people, you might be on this call today. This might be the first video you've ever watched about online marketing and online business. I don't know. But, or maybe you've been studying this for 25 years. I don't know. But what I want you to know is that you can do this because you probably, even by the fact that you've been sitting here with me for the last half hour, you probably know more than somebody else knows just by the fact that you maybe have been sitting here watching this video and taking some notes and learning about some of the things we talked about. So you can do this. The next major mental roadblock I hear from people is I'm not a techie. I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to. Listen, I can appreciate that because right now with all this stuff that's going on with crypto, my mind is like blown. I am, mid 40s. The whole Web3 blockchain crypto, I'm really struggling with that. And I learn about it, and maybe part of it is I haven't taken the time to really try and learn it. And I think if I did, I would understand it more. But it's hard. And for those of you, that's probably how a lot of you are feeling who are new to this online business space. If this is the first time you've ever been exposed to this, then that might be something that's, it might be a little tricky. It might be a little scary for you. And that's okay. But here's the thing, you don't have to learn it all overnight, and it's not that hard. Let me tell you, almost 20 years ago when I first got started, it was a lot harder. I mean, I had to pay somebody $4,000 or $5,000 just to set up like a simple 10-page website for me. I could have done that in 2 hours today. without any coding involved. But I had to hire somebody who had to code and build that entire website. And it took like 2 months because she had to come back to me with revisions. You can still find it. If you go to jameshartlaw.com and go to the Wayback Machine from like 2005, you should be able to find it. It was a horrible website. It was like a postcard website. It was like Web 1.0, no comment features, no blogging really. It was crap. But it got me business and it got clients in the door and it did what it was supposed to do at the time. But the thing is, what I learned from that is that I didn't want somebody else coding my websites because I wanted to be able to post on them and change them and edit them whenever I wanted. Now, what you do need potentially is somebody to design your website, but you don't need somebody writing and building your own website, at least not when you're first getting started. You should be doing all your own blog posts when you're first getting started. You should be writing your about page and different things like that. Nobody else can write what you know in your head. But again, you don't need to be a techie. Maybe you're not even going to go the route of the website. You could build a website on Ghost, which is my new personal blog website that I use. Ghost is the platform that I use to build my personal blog. I should make that clear. I built that website literally in like an hour one Sunday afternoon and was like, you know what? I'm going to start blogging. Now I blog once a week on that website. I post out a newsletter. It's jimhart.me. So that is, it's easy now. It's easy now. And if you don't want to do it that way, you can create a Facebook page. You can create a Facebook group. You can create, an Instagram page. You can create a Pinterest page. You can do all these things where you can post content that, and you can do stuff on like this on Instagram. It's funny. I had a legal assistant that worked for me a couple years ago, and she said that she was starting a blog. And I was like, oh, tell me about where's the web address for your blog? She's like, oh, it's my Instagram. She was just posting an image and then like a long form blog post to go with that image. Like that was her blog. Wasn't what I would consider a blog. Wasn't what I was used to being a blog from 20 years ago, but that's the way things are going now, and that's the way some people are doing things. So you can definitely get started. You don't need to have a lot of technical skills. You just have to be curious and willing to go in and learn. And you can look up a YouTube video and you can figure out pretty much anything from YouTube on how to do certain things. The next one, I won't spend too much time on this, but some people think, well, online business is a scam. Online business is not a scam, not by any stretch. Online business, people that say online business is a scam, there are always going to be scam artists out there. I'll say that number one. There's always going to be people that are out there to take your money and not providing any value in return. But if you're just dead set and thinking online business is a scam, it's probably your brain telling you that you're not ready to move forward with an online business. And so, it's your brain telling you that you should be focusing on your 9-to-5 right now because you're not really ready mentally to do that. You need to work through that. That is a limiting belief that people have. The web is the way people are going to be doing business for the foreseeable future, right? It's not a scam. It's where the marketplace has taken us. And for people that grew up in the 80s or 90s like I did, where, you didn't get started with, didn't even have a cell phone. I didn't have my first cell phone until I was mid-20s, I think. And now my kids, like I said, my son's like 12 and he's already asking for a cell phone. It's like, no, sorry, that's not happening. So you just need to appreciate that this is the way it's going to be. And it's a global marketplace now, and you can do business with anyone, anywhere in the world. And it's a beautiful thing. It's amazing. I'm sitting here on YouTube talking to people. I'd love to know where some of you are, from all over. I imagine most of you are probably in the States, but some of you are probably from other countries as well. Cool. That's amazing. And that's the beauty of the internet, that I can go live on a YouTube channel and talk for 40 minutes and share my ideas and my thoughts about mindset and business with people. So that's cool. The last one I want to talk about today, and then I've got some do's and don'ts that I want to share with you, are and this one I think is very real right now. This is another limiting belief. I'll start when the economy gets better. And I see people posting where they're from: New York City, New Orleans, Las Vegas. Yeah, from all over. This is amazing. And like I said, I'm moving my family to Portugal in July, but I'm still going to be doing the same thing. Nothing's going to change except for my physical location. Deb, you're in Minneapolis. Oh, Minneapolis is cold. And then we've got Heatherly from Tucson. So it's like we got both ends of the spectrum. Anyway, I'll start when the economy gets better. And I will tell you that right now, what's going on in the world, I've said this before, but my heart absolutely breaks for the people in Ukraine and what they're going through, and the problems that's causing, not just for them, but the economic realities of that situation across the world. From hyperinflation to rising gas prices to other issues that people are going to have to deal with. You could sit here and say, I'll start when the economy gets better, because right now we are kind of in the beginning part of a recession. Now, are we going to pull out of this in a week? Are we going to pull out of this in 6 months? Is it going to be 2 years? Nobody knows. Nobody knows what's going to happen. If you had asked me 2 months ago what the economy was looking like, I would have thought this is great. There's no sign of slowing down. Now, clearly, it's slowing down. But if you go in with that mindset that I'll start when the economy gets better, who knows when you're going to start? Because then the economy starts to get better, and you're like, well, then something else comes up that's going to keep you from starting. And so my suggestion there is, get started now. Like I said, it doesn't cost anything but literally your time to start an online business. You just brainstorm some ideas, you start a blog. We're going to talk about this again later this week. And you can get started, and you can, spend an hour a day. I think one of the best ways for people to get started online, and this is what I started doing with my personal blog, is to start sharing what you're already learning. So if you find this helpful and you're taking notes on this, maybe you write this up and you post it to Facebook and say, hey, I was on this great training today, and here's what I learned, and share that with people. Because when you start sharing what you're learning, that is a great way to just get used to the idea of sharing content. Because when you're building an online business, at least the way I teach people to build an online business, what you're building really is an expert business. You're building a business that revolves around you and your expertise on a given subject. So I don't teach, how to build an e-commerce business on Amazon. I don't teach how to build apps to sell. I don't teach those type of things. I don't really teach affiliate marketing, although it does kind of come into some of the things that I do with my business. But what I like to teach people to do is to grow a business that revolved around what they have, their ideas and their thoughts in their head. And so to do that, you have to start sharing those ideas and the thoughts that are in your head. And so, that's, to do that, you just start sharing what you're doing. Start sharing what you're learning. Create a blog post once a week. Post about what you're learning. Do a YouTube video once a week. Post about what you're doing. Again, none of this costs any money. So if you're sitting here and I see Isla Jane says, yeah, I felt I should wait for the economy to get stable. Wait for what? Are you unable to do, and I don't mean to call you out, and when I say you, I mean anyone here that's thinking that same thought. Are you unable to post a video on YouTube right now because of the economy? Probably, I don't think so. Are you unable to go and start a blog for $8 a month because the economy is bad right now? Because that's what Ghost costs. Ghost is, I think, $8 a month. Matt says, my fear is relying on the public for a paycheck. I mean, again, that's no different than what Isla said. Is I feel like I should wait until the economy gets stable. There are still people out there, maybe, I don't know what your personal situations are, but I'm going to go back to what I just said. Does it cost you money to produce content and share it in the world? You just posted a comment on this YouTube video. That didn't cost you any money. You could do the same thing on a Facebook profile. You could do the same thing on an Instagram account. You could do the same thing on a YouTube channel, on Twitter, on Pinterest, on any type of social media account. You can create a blog for literally $8 a month. So, the idea that you have to wait for the economy to get better, I really think that's a limiting belief that a lot of people have. And again, since today is all about mindset, it's about thinking about why is that a limiting belief for you? Why is that a problem? Why is that keeping you from moving forward? So let's talk about some do's and don'ts, things that I think that you actually should and should not do as you're thinking about moving forward with your online business. And as I do that, Armin says, when will you be live again? We're going to be doing this again tomorrow. Before we get into the do's and don'ts, that raises a good point. So I'm going to be doing this every single day this week. So tomorrow we're going to be talking about coming up with the right business idea for your online business, what you're going to talk about, what your topic is going to be. And then Thursday and Friday, we're going to start talking about the Wednesday and Thursday, we're going to talk about the technical aspects of building an online business and sales funnels and email marketing and things like that. And so we'll get into that as well. But I'm going to be going live every day this week. And like I said, I'm going to be taking these replays down and I'm going to be posting them starting tomorrow. I'm going to be posting live to YouTube and Facebook, but the YouTube replay is going to come down after the live cast is done, and the replays will stay live on the Facebook channel. If you want to get access to the Facebook group, there's a link down in the description below. It's obfoundations.com/Facebook, and you can enter your email address, and we will email you a link to the private Facebook group where I'm going to be doing these videos for the rest of the week. And real quick, I'll answer this question. NW Source says, my limiting belief is that my employer might see what I'm doing. There's a lot of ways to do this where you can make it anonymous. So like you could start a YouTube channel where you don't name it after yourself. You could create a Facebook page that you might run as an admin, but that you name something else. So there's other ways to do that. I think a lot of people can probably have their own personal Instagram pages and things like that. I don't know that employers are checking all those. Maybe they are. That could be an issue. If that's an issue, then, that's a whole another set of worms. So anyway, Isla says selling things online. I talked about this at the beginning today, Isla, that what you can do, you can do what we do. We're selling all our extra stuff that we're not taking with us to Portugal. We're literally selling it on Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, and eBay. And, so that's a good way to start. That's still an online business, and it gets you used to the idea of putting something out there and doing commerce online and getting money for what you're putting out there. So, but anyway, so as I was saying, so I'm going to be going live tomorrow again at noon Eastern time. Just if you want to, you'll get notified. I'm going to be doing it in YouTube and in Facebook, same time. But if you want to get access to the replays, you have to join the Facebook group. So let's talk about some do's and don'ts. The first thing I will tell you, and this is, again, I can kind of see it in the comments today, from people, is people are going right to the end game. Like Isla says, I was thinking about selling items online. Well, that's the end game. That's not where you're going to start from, unless you really are going to be selling your personal belongings online, in which case maybe that is where you start. So just list one item a day. But you definitely want to take it in bite-sized chunks. Rome wasn't built in a day. And if you go into this thinking you've got to get everything done in like a day or a week or a month, and you need to be like profitable and making like $1 million a year within the first month, that's not going to happen. You're never going to succeed. So take it in bite-sized chunks, a little bit a day. And I would say devote 5 minutes a day. If 5 minutes a day is too much, say a minute a day. And the reason why I say that is because it's not about sitting down for a minute and writing. If you read, there's a book, I can't remember it. The War of Art, I think, or it's not The Art of War. I think it's The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield. That's it. He talks about sitting down at your computer every single day and writing like a sentence. Just sitting down and writing a sentence. And the reason why you sit down and write a sentence is if you write a sentence, you're more likely to write a second sentence. If you're more likely to write a second sentence, then you're writing a paragraph. And if you write a paragraph, then you can write another paragraph. So if you sit down for 5 minutes a day and say, I'm going to write something, who knows what? I'm just going to do something related to my online business when you're just getting started. That's going to give you that inertia that's going to keep you going. And so if you sit down for a minute, chances are you're probably going to work for a half hour, 45 minutes, maybe even an hour. And you're going to get something done. And you just have to do that every day. You have to get in the habit of doing that every single day. Dominance Life says, people will not buy what doesn't have value to them. I mean, that's absolutely true. That's absolutely true. People will purchase what's valuable to them. And that makes absolute sense. If you don't think something's valuable, you're not going to buy it. So I would say, number one, take it in bite-sized chunks. Number two, devote 5 minutes a day. I challenge everybody here that's thinking about starting and they're having a limiting belief around that to write down on their calendar, get up an hour earlier and spend 5 minutes, get your cup of coffee. I need to take a sip, by the way. Get your cup of coffee and spend 5 minutes. That's all you've got. Spend 5 minutes in front of the computer and write down your ideas for what you want to do. Write down, brainstorm a list of 50 ideas that you want to do. If you don't want to do 50 the first day, sit down and say, you know what, I'm going to write 5 ideas of things I want to get started, and then just see what happens. And then start by journaling and working through your emotions. So I recently started working with Notion. For those of you if you know Notion, leave a comment below. This is my new favorite app. I started playing with it probably about a year and a half ago. And I kind of got in. I was a little overwhelmed because I didn't know how to use it. It's so powerful that I was overwhelmed. The technology was too much for me. So what I started doing is I started following other YouTubers that talk about Notion a lot on their channel. And I started looking at other use cases and for what people were doing with it. And then I just started basically, MW sources love Notion. Yes, Notion's amazing. And so I actually started a journal. I started a gratitude journal in Notion that basically it's a database, and I created a template that it gives me a series of prompts. And so every single morning I open a new document, I open up a new template, and I just write. It says, it's like 3 things I'm grateful for today. What's one thing I want to accomplish today? It's got different prompts, different questions that I try to answer as I am going through that journal. And at the end of the day, it says, what worked well today? What did not work well today? What could I do better tomorrow? And so it just gives me a place to journal my thoughts, and then I can give each day a rating. So from like shitty to like celebrate, this was an amazing day. And so I just keep track of that. And so I've started doing that. But I use it to map out, like I'm reading off my notes right now, right from Notion. I've got a card that talks about the things I want to talk about today, the things I want to talk about tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So that's how I use it. But start journaling, and you don't need to use that. You can use, one of these, just I forget what these things are called, but you can use one of these books like this and just start journaling like that. If you like doing it longhand, I'm partial to the keyboard, so I like doing it that way. Also, again, did I mention we're moving to Portugal? Less of these, more in my computer means less I have to take with me when we go. Journal, work through your emotions. If you just start doing that. It's amazing what connections will be made in your brain when you just start journaling a little bit each day. And maybe that's where you start. Maybe your online business starts from journaling and talking about what your goals are, what your deeper purpose is, what your dreams are, who do you want to help, how do you want to help them, those type of things. Another great way to do this is through meditation. Meditation is a great way to help you clear your head and really kind of start to work through some of those fears and limiting beliefs that you might have regarding your online business. So real quick before we end up, I want to share with you some of the mistakes that I see people make. And again, I've seen a lot of comments here. This I love, by the way, real quick. We organize our entire household on Notion. I would love that. Unfortunately, my wife is more of a Post-it girl type of person. So I struggle with getting her to use technology. So we probably couldn't do that, but it's still an amazing resource. You can use it for so many different things. Anyway, mistakes that people make is one of the mistakes I'd say people make is they quit too soon. I was guilty of this when I was just getting started with my online business. Is like my YouTube channel, for example. I stopped posting videos for a year and a half after, and when I left the channel, I had like 100 subscribers, maybe a little less than that. When I came back a year and a half later, I had like 6,000. So if I had just continued to publish every week, it's amazing to think where I'd be right now. Probably a lot higher than I am now, and the business would be doing much better than it is now. So, also pivoting to a new idea. This is something else that I did that I really made a mistake of doing when I first got started. Is I started with one idea, it didn't work, and so I pivoted to something else. You got to focus, and you've got to focus for a considerable period of time. And if you've done your research, if you've validated your idea, we're going to talk about this tomorrow. And you know that what your idea is good, then you keep working to try and iterate and make that idea better so that you are providing, like the Dominance Life says, something of value for people that are going to be buying from you. The second mistake I see people make is they're too scared to try, so they never start. They have this limiting belief that it's not going to work for them. They have this limiting belief that the economy's not right now. They have something's going on in their head that's keeping them from starting, and they're too scared to try, so they never try. And then 5 or 10 years from now, they look back and say, why didn't I get going on that? Why didn't I do something? Why didn't I start on that business? And then the other big mistake I see people making from a mindset perspective is that they're wasting time on things that don't matter. So this could be things in their head that they're thinking, okay, I want to sell something online. Okay, great. That's fine. But I'm just going to research products all day, every day for the next 6 months until I come up with the perfect product that I know is going to be successful. There is no such thing. And you don't know if it's going to be successful until you get something out there. Or I see this a lot. I saw this a lot with my initial students in the Lock It Down legal toolkit that I launched last year. And this is one of the reasons why we turned this into a membership community where we offer online business training as well now in the program. Is that people would do all these things. They'd set up their LLC, they'd get their trademark, they'd get all their contracts in place, they'd do all these things. But then at the end of the day, they'd have a coaching call with me, and I'd be like, okay, what about your product? How are you doing in sales? Nothing. They don't have any sales, and they're wasting time. Now, listen, I'm a lawyer. I know as much as anyone, the legal stuff is important, but what's more important than that is getting cash flow. And until you have cash flow, and by the way, I will point out, setting an LLC up takes like 2 hours. right? You can do it in an afternoon. So the thought that you're wasting weeks and weeks on this type of stuff, that's just an excuse. Like there's no reason to be doing that. You set your LLC up and then you move forward. But so don't waste time on things that don't matter. People waste time on their branding. They go out there and they're like, oh, I need to hire somebody to come up with the best logo. I need to hire somebody to come up with the best. I can't. I'm horrible at graphic design. I've done all my branding, all my logos, all my things on either Canva, PicMonkey, or Photoshop, and I've learned how to do it myself with YouTube videos. So Jay Phillips says, Jim, is the $8 what I pay to do the vlog? So what I'm talking about is if you go to Ghost, let me see if I can pull up the website. Hold on a second. Give me 1 second. If you go to this website, if you just give me a second, I'll pull it up. See, I think I have one for it. I don't. All right. All right, here it is. If you go to ghost.org, you can sign up with an account with them and get your website up and running for, I think it's like $8 or $10 a month. And if you want, the only other fee that you'd have to pay would be to get your own personal domain, which I recommend. I would go and buy a domain from Namecheap, and here's the website for that. Get your domain at Namecheap, and then you can transfer that domain over to Ghost, and then you've got, and then here, just so you know, this is my personal website that I built on ghost.org. And so you can see what it looks like. I mean, it took me literally like 2 hours to create that. Now, all the content, I post the content every single week, but here's what I want you to know. I want you to know that for those of you that are just starting out, you're going to have fear. That's okay. You're going to start out, it's going to be a hot mess. It's going to take a while to get some success, to get some traction. You're going to be uncertain. Things are going to be scary. I want you to understand it's okay to have those feelings. And I want you to understand it's okay to be scared about this. But you just take it a little bit at a time. Some of you are going to be scared because you're worried that your boss is going to find out and you're going to get fired. Some of you are scared that it's just going to be too hard. Some of you are scared because you're going to do all this, you're going to work really hard, and then and it's not going to work, or you're going to fail. All of those things might happen, and it's just a matter of working through it, building in small wins every single day, spending 5 minutes a day, journaling, blogging, writing about what it is that you're trying to do. Spend 1 day a week, record a video or write a blog post about what you learned that week. Use Notion to document what you're learning as you're learning it, and then share what you learn through a blog post. That's exactly what I do. Like I recently read a book. I talk about it in a blog post on my website that I just posted in the chats. I read a book called How to Take Smart Notes by Sankey Arons, and the idea is this Slipbox technique where you basically document what you're learning as you learn it, and you put it into one central database, and you pull the notes out there. You go back and you review those notes, and you pull the things out that are meaningful to you, that you want to teach more on, that you want to build on those ideas. And so just do that. Just put what you're learning into a tool like Notion's free, by the way, for those of you who don't know. Completely free to use. So put your stuff into Notion and just start seeing what ideas are connected and connect those ideas together, and then share what you're learning with the world. And then every day be journaling or coming up with blog ideas or see what it is that you really are interested in. Again, we're going to talk tomorrow, same time. We're running a little over today. That's okay. So tomorrow we're going to be talking about coming up with the right idea for your online business, how to find the right target market for your online business. And so what I want you to do tonight is go home. I appreciate all of you who stayed with me for this entire presentation today, but go home, and journal for 5 or 10 minutes about what it is that you're thinking that you might want to do. Talk about, what are the limiting beliefs that you have that are holding you back from starting, and kind of, talk about what's the worst case scenario. What you start blogging once a week, what's the worst thing that's going to happen? You're out $8 a month for your blog. If you post a YouTube video out there, what's the worst thing that's going to happen? Too many people see it, and then, your family sees it and makes fun of you. Like that happened to me. True story. That happened to me. And then my other family members watched it. Like I have one cousin who watched it, and she's like, oh my God, I checked out your YouTube channel. I didn't realize you're like famous. I'm like, well, I'm not really famous, but I do have a lot of followers. And then the other people were like, they don't watch my YouTube channel, and so they don't know how. And by the way, my channel is not big. Like I consider a big channel like 500,000 to 1 million or an up. So I'm far from that, and those of you who are watching know this. But then I've got these other family members. Just whenever I see them, they like, and that's like my sister. My sister's like, and my brother, they like, jostle me every time they see me about my YouTube channel. Anyway, but they don't ever watch it. I know they don't watch it because if they did, they'd know what was going on. So anyway, right about that. What's the worst thing that's going to happen? What is the worst thing that's going to happen that if you start? What's the best thing that could happen if you start? Think about that too, because that's important. So anyway, been talking for a long time. My throat's starting to hurt. So I'm going to sign off now. I appreciate all of you that have been on for the call today. Like I said, Giselle, I am glad to hear that you feel motivated. Awesome. Go ahead and if you haven't already, real quick before we go, don't forget, if you go down in the description below the video today, there is a link to get access to the Facebook group. If you want the replay for today's call, if you popped on like 10 minutes ago and you're like, oh, that sounded like a good call, I'd like to listen to more about that, then go ahead. I'm going to be uploading this video to Facebook this afternoon, and then I'm going to be unlisting it here on the channel. So if you want to make sure you listen to the whole thing before this goes unlisted in the next 5 or 10 minutes or so, make sure you sign up for the Facebook group. And then tomorrow I'll be posting to the Facebook group as well as to YouTube. And then after I post to YouTube, those videos will be unlisted after the call is finished. So if you want to get the replays, you got to get into the Facebook group. Thank you so much. Tomorrow, same time, noon Eastern time, we're going to be talking about how to come up with the right business idea for you. I hope you all had a great Monday and great weekend, and I look forward to seeing you on the next call. Take care, guys.